Now for something just a little bit different to close out the summit. I'm here with Sandy Edwards of GoDaddy Pro, Topher DeRosia of BigCommerce, and Beth Livingston of WP Roadmaps. And we're going to talk about community and how your community is an important facet of building and maintaining recurring revenue. So we're going to do some quick introductions and then hop right in. Sandy Edwards is the US Field Marketing Manager for GoDaddy Pro. She has been active with WordPress since 2015. She's passionate about education within the community and making sure that everyone has access to learning new things. We have Topher DeRosia, who is the Senior Developer Advocate at BigCommerce. He has 25 years of experience as a web developer, over a decade of which has been spent building out WordPress sites. And last but certainly not least, we have Beth Livingston. Beth built her first WordPress website in 2009, and by 2016, Beth left the corporate world to become a full-time WordPress agency owner. She now enjoys providing real-life project management skills training through the WP Project Managers Academy. Hi, everyone.
Hello,
I am
hello.
so glad that you all are here. Now, I have some questions here to kind of get the ball rolling, but please feel free to chime in and divert and let this be as organic a conversation as we can have over Zoom, right? I know that all three of you work in very different kind of sections of the WordPress ecosystem and you do different things. And while there is some overlap, I'm definitely really excited to hear about your unique perspectives and experiences within this conversation. So first question, let's see, we'll start with Topher. If you can kick this one off. Basically, everyone thinks of community slightly differently, right? We all have a little bit kind of different definitions of what community means. What does community mean to you in your work?
Wow, it means many, many things, actually. And it depends a little bit on perspective. Community means a group of people that have a certain level of trust with each other. Mm. They feel willing to communicate with each other and be honest with each other. And there's sort of a requirement for a safe place. The better the community, the safer the place it is. I mean, yeah. I suppose you could say any group of people is a community, but the more they trust each other, the better the community is. And if you feel confident in opening up and saying to your community, I don't know something, can you help me? Then you're much more likely to get a good answer back, a useful answer back. And then vice versa. You have to be a good citizen. If you want to remain part of a good community, you need to be fair, be upfront, be honest, be transparent. And the really good communities are the ones where you can say something that might hurt someone if you're doing it in a spirit of caring and love, you know? Yeah. Say, listen, you've been doing this a long time this way, and I don't think it's the right way. I think really if you turned it around and did it this other way, you'd get a lot farther. Or maybe their communication model is hurting people around them, and you need to say something. The best communities are the ones where people are sensitive enough to each other to allow for that sort of thing.
Yeah. Sandy and Beth, what do you think?
I feel like community is a way for you to give back to others that are like yourself or in the same industry as yourself. So not necessarily like myself as in, I'm a female, but it could be. But at the same time, just being able to give back, finding a way to help others and to bolster those around us with something that I know that maybe they don't know. Because if we're all doing that, then we all rise, because rising tides raise all ships. So if we're able to do that, and that's how we build our community, then it's a group of people that work in the same area-ish and are able to provide help to others to fill those gaps.
Wonderful. Beth, do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, so community to me, I've worked really hard to build a community inside my Facebook group that's all focused on one topic, and that's project management. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, we talk about other things too. Like the one thing we don't do is what is the best plugin for blank. But so we don't talk about the technical stuff so much as the project management piece, and that's what people are struggling with. So yeah, it's crowdfunding support. That's what I think community is. Crowdfunding support
I love
for
that.
whatever it is you're doing.
That's awesome. All right, Sandy, I'm going to love this next one to you. How do you see, how does fostering community in what you do support revenue for your company? So what is the relationship that you see between the two? Or in other words, what are the monetary benefits really, or downfalls even of having a sense of community within a company, within a brand, or within a larger community like WordPress?
So I feel like there's actually two things there, just like you said, the benefits and then the downfalls, right? So we'll start off with the benefits. Long term, when you have a group of passionate people who are there to help others, you have this sense of authenticity. And so what that does when it comes to a brand is it creates trust. So that's kind of like the groundwork that you're laying there. But once you have that trust within the community, as a brand, you can create brand affinity, which brand recognition. So in the end, that's going to translate to ROI. So it's going to take a while to go from, that initial breaking in, proving that you're being authentic, building that trust relationship, to actually seeing some effect on the ROI and the monetary benefit, right? The downfall is time. That takes time. That's not going to happen overnight. So I think understanding when you're looking at building a community that you're going to have patience and time and really be authentic. You cannot go into this going, I'm going to sell. That's not going to work. So I think that's the biggest thing, is making sure that everything you're doing is being authentic to help and build up others.
Yeah. Beth, what's your answer to that?
So repeat the question. I got lost in Sandy's answer. Go ahead.
No problem. Basically, the question is, how does fostering community support recurring revenue for you, or what is the relationship that you find between the two of them? And that can be benefits or pitfalls or downfalls.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's huge. I don't see how you can have recurring revenue without community. Sell. Once you have a community, like Sandy was saying, once you have a community and everybody trusts each other, you can sell and it doesn't feel spammy or selly or salesy or gross, because what you're selling, let's hope that what you're selling is there to help those people too. And, there's a lot that needs to be given away for free. In a community like that, for people to get interested in what you might have to offer. It's that know, like, and trust thing, right? It all comes back to that people do business and spend money with people they know, like, and trust. So fostering the community fosters that, which then fosters the recurring revenue.
Lovely. Topher, anything to add there?
Yeah. What's interesting about my answer is that I had written down an answer before, and it was almost exactly the same as Sandy's. It says that people use products that they're comfortable with and that they trust. And also that lack of revenue isn't the problem, it's the symptom. The symptom is lack of trust. When people trust you, they will buy. If you have something they want, and they trust you, they're going to buy from you.
Yeah.
So yeah, almost exactly what Sandy said.
Well, and beautiful. Also when people that have trusted you enough to buy from you, then interact with your community to say, hey, I bought this thing and it really helped me, testimonials or social proof. Then that just makes the recurring revenue increase.
Absolutely. 100%. Social proof is so important, and it definitely wraps into that concept of trust, right? All right, Beth, I'm going to throw this next question to you. How have you seen your community empower your clients or customers? What has it provided them with that your service or your product alone could not?
Just those random questions about, because, all right, so my customers are WordPress practitioners, are people who build websites with WordPress.
Right.
I teach them project management. And so what I was going to say just flew right out of my head. This happens
okay.
late in the day for me because I'm older. So I apologize.
That's all right.
But ask me the question one more time and then I'll articulate it better. I'm glad this is really informal because I'm feeling really stupid right now. Go ahead.
No problem. That's totally fine. How have you seen your community empower your customers and clients, and what has it provided them with that your service alone could not?
All right. So when I think of community, I just always think of my Facebook group, right? Mm-hmm. And so when someone has an issue or a problem or something they didn't understand, I'm not in that Facebook group 24/7. So somebody else will pop in and answer the question or give their opinion. And that I find just super valuable. I also do a Friday morning weekly Zoom call. We call it the Friday chat. And it's really informal and people can just come and we usually have a topic, but it's basically just talking about the problems that you've had in your business when it comes to project or client management or things like that. And so everybody gets the value of the more experienced people talking about, I learned this lesson back in the day, and so don't do this. So it's really helpful that way.
Fantastic. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. Topher, do you have anything to add into that question as far as?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Our community at Big Commerce is mostly the community that I work with is developers, people who build websites either on our platform or in WordPress. And something I've noticed is that there are a fair number of specialists, people who are very, very good at one small aspect of our product, and their knowledge is as deep as our internal engineers, and sometimes even deeper because they figure out the weird quirks that we never thought of. And those people, when exposed to the community, can answer questions that frontline support would never have a hope of. So somebody comes in and says, I'm having an issue with this one weird edge case, and somebody says, I know exactly how to fix that. That expands our ability. I don't want to call it support because it's not really support, but it sort of is. Like, the community is supporting each other, and it is expanding the exposure of just human knowledge a lot. And that's been invaluable. I mean, we couldn't hire that person. We wouldn't to answer one question. No, that wouldn't work. But in the framework of community, they are there and they're available and they're able to do that thing. And that's wonderful.
I love that. Sandy, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways. I know at GoDaddy Pro, we have a couple of different parts of community. So we have the overarching community as a whole, which is a great way for all of us to interact with each other and network and things like that, and fill gaps in services as well, right? But the other thing is we also have ambassadors and those individuals who beta test and do all of that kind of stuff as well within the community. And that gives them a central place to provide feedback and collaborate. So I think it's important if you have a brand and you're looking at building a community, is to not only have the overarching community, but also have this smaller community subset that allows a straight feedback channel, because you can't really make your products better if you're not listening to the problems or the advice or the needs of your clients and your customers. So providing that feedback channel and that collaboration channel is definitely something that we have benefited from, and that I know our customers and clients have as well.
That's lovely. Awesome. So Topher, I'm going to start with you on this one.
All right.
How has your internal community, that's okay. How has your internal community, so things like supervisors, coworkers, etc., how have they supported your work as a community advocate? And within that question, I would love to dive into maybe any systems or processes that your team has internally that people watching right now can start to think about, okay, within my team, how can I support community work within the larger scope of MMR or MRR?
Yeah. Well, I have a distinct advantage in that I am one of an entire department of developer advocates. And so, of course, my boss is very supportive of it because that's what we do.
Yeah.
I want to answer the process as one thing because I think our team does it very well. We document everything to the nth degree. If we do anything, we write it down as if I am writing to, like, our whole team is going to die and the whole new team is going to have to read this and completely understand everything that we do. Wow. So it's incredibly in depth, and I'll write something. I'll do a document, and the team will go over it and say, well, what about this and this and this and this? I'm like, oh, I didn't think of all that. And I'll go back and double the size of the document. And then, oh, what about these other things? And I'm like, oh yeah, we'll go back. And as a team, we build these documents. And literally we could all walk away and the entire new team could come in and just pick up where we left off based on what we have, which is super useful. And that makes it so that we are less dependent on each other for training and stuff. Like, I don't have to go to the person who did it last time and say, explain this all to me.
Right.
They're busy. And they did it. They already explained it all to me in this Google Doc. And I could just go do it. That's super powerful, super useful. And more so since the pandemic started. I've been doing some reading lately. The GitLab folks have a great doc about remote work. And they're remote all the time. BigCommerce has traditionally not been remote at all, and very suddenly went completely remote, and it just threw everything for a loop. And our department did pretty well because one of the things that we do is document like that. And they said to be a really good remote team, you need to have that documentation because you're not sitting in a room together. You can't just turn around and say, hey, explain this thing to me. So I'm going to go with that for my big process thing. It's been really, really powerful. There was a first part of that question. Did I answer that properly? That?
I think so. How your internal community supports your work as somebody who works in community. So.
Oh yeah. So it's part of the same thing. We work as a team.
Yeah.
To make that stuff.
Lovely. Sandy, what about you?
I'm going to answer it from a little bit of a different angle. We're a massive organization, GoDaddy as a whole, and GoDaddy Pro is just a sub-brand of the main brand. But we do have a whole team dedicated to community, which is glorious because we're definitely supported. However, it's really cool to see from the CEO down community being supported. And that's something that has been really made clear and made known to all of us as internal employees. So much so that we have an entire Slack channel that is secondary to the main internal Slack channel that is all community based. It's internal micro communities. We have a cooking Slack channel and we have an Animal Crossing Slack channel, and it's all about building internal networks on like-minded items. And we also have other communities that both meet physically when COVID, before all of this craziness happened, but they also meet virtually as well. So like we have a women in tech group, and we have a Black in tech group, an Asian in tech group. And so it's really cool to see how we're able as an internal team to have all of these ways to support each other in all of our endeavors, not just
Absolutely.
outside community facing. So we have an internal community as well as that supports all of us external community people.
I love that. So Beth, I know that you operate a little bit more independently, but can you tell us about some of the systems that you have implemented within the community aspect of what it is that you do that you think helps make it work for you?
Yes, meeting regularly, having something for people to do. A lot of people will spin up a Facebook group and have people start joining, but there's no engagement. So I do a live on Mondays with some training, and then on Fridays we do our chat. And in the middle, I'll be posting things, other people will be posting things. So I think it's consistency is really important. And just having something for people to do, just like Sandy was saying about the GoDaddy Pro Slack channels about animals and cooking, it's something for people to connect with and do together.
And I love that. I love the fact that between what the both of you just said, it proves that it can be done at any scale. It can be done at any size, as long as you have the consistency. Like you said, you have your Monday and you have your Friday. And that goes back into what we said before about building trust, right? Like your community trusts you and knows that Monday, this is what I can expect, and Friday, this is what I can expect. So I feel like from somebody who might be watching right now, who might be starting to entertain ideas of doing things like this, building in that consistency, even if it's on a smaller scale, that seems really important, right?
Exactly. And I was not all that consistent for a while. Yeah. And once I got consistent, now people really look forward to those things.
Absolutely. All right, Sandy, it can be hard to know sort of where to begin when you're trying something as nebulous as like building a community, right? Like the phrase, I'm going to build a community. What does that mean? What have been some of the successful methods that you have used or the GoDaddy Pro team have used in general to like bring people together and foster community? I know we just talked a little bit about that with the Slack channels, but thinking maybe about more external community with clients, customers, potential customers, what sort of things do you do to foster that sense of community with people?
Yeah, we've got a couple of different things. One of the biggest ones is we have an expert users group. So that they meet on a monthly basis. They're the ones who are going to be beta testing things. They're the ones who are going to be, telling what was the good, the bad, and the ugly of, the last month in using products and being in the community and how we can improve. I think that's extremely important to have that subset of users who are the power users that are giving you your feedback. Just because you can have clients and customers that maybe are more silent or they don't use all the features of what you're offering. And so getting feedback from them is important, but they're not going to give you the same no holes barred answers that an expert super user is going to give you. So I think it's very important to nail down who those people are and put them in a Zoom call together or a room together or whatever makes sense for your base. And then on top of that, I think it's also important to, like we just said, consistency. And the hard part is that's time consuming. So when you're looking at being consistent, we have a community meetup every Wednesday at 3, and that's something that we just do. But that means for an hour every Wednesday, I am in a Zoom call with people going through and talking and seeing what is up with everyone and, what we can do better. So that's something that you've got to set the time aside for. And that is key, is being consistent and narrowing down exactly who needs to be in which audience, if you will, and providing the opportunities for multiple audiences to have their needs met.
Wonderful. Beth, can you speak to that at all?
Yes, as long as you repeat the question.
Yes, ma'am. Basically, what has been your most successful method for bringing people together and fostering community? So I think with you, it has a lot to do with your Facebook community. Can we get a little bit more specific about that, about the things that you do on a regular basis, maybe in addition to the calls? We talked about this a little bit already with you, but I just want to dig as deep as possible with
Yeah,
the methods that you have.
Yeah, the first way is the traditional sales funnel. I mean, I have to tell you, I offer a freebie. I have several free things on my website. I'll occasionally run Facebook ads to those freebies. That puts people on my email list. And there are people that are still on my email list that elected not to join the Facebook group. They're not very engaged, but then every now and then one will come
Someday.
into the group or say again.
Someday they'll come.
Yeah, eventually they do. I mean, and so a lot of people hold back, they'll wait and watch the emails and see if they're going to get value before they make a commitment, like joining the Facebook group. Not like that's any huge commitment. You can always leave whenever you want to, but people are just, there's so many communication channels right now. I'm a little overwhelmed with Facebook Messenger and Twitter and Slack and, email and just everything. And I think everybody feels that way a little bit. So, but yeah, I give people what they want, something actionable that will help them. And they give you your email list, and then they get on. That's how, the email group is a community as well as the Facebook group.
Awesome. And I kind of picked up on a little nugget in there, which is you have your sales funnel, right? Which is through your email. They can come into the Facebook group. Is that the only way? Is your Facebook group public to where they could potentially find you just through hanging out on Facebook and seeing like a recommended group?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a private Facebook group. You have to request to join.
Right.
And then I ask the questions to keep the riffraff out, but I think some people get intimidated by the questions, and it's really just, where are you in your whole WordPress journey and what are you struggling with? But some people think that must think that's too personal because they never answer the questions. So I don't let them in.
There you go. And what I'm hearing in that is, you have to have that clear sales funnel where, I'm directing people toward this thing, but there also has to be some flexibility in that where, they can find you in multiple different ways and come to you from different places. And you also have now this way of qualifying that community. I think what a lot of people get worried about when they think of community is, does that just mean I need as many people as possible, all the people, right? And I don't think that that's what that means at all. I think community has to be specific and it has to be qualified, and you have to be able to, really say to people who are not going to provide value or not going to appreciate it, this isn't a community for you. Do you agree with that, or am I being harsh?
No, it's true. And some people go straight from the email list into the academy. They, for whatever reason, they feel that's a value. And the academy, the entry level program in the academy is free anyway. Right. So they may come in that way and they don't ever join the Facebook group, or they may come into the Facebook group and then join the academy. So it's a variety of different ways they can connect. And I try to offer as many as possible because we're all the same, but we're different.
Yeah. Absolutely. Topher, what about you? What kind of methods have you been using to be able to foster the sense of community?
Well, you already gave away a lot of what I was going to say. So at BigCommerce, we have a number of communities. We have developer communities, we have merchant communities, etc. The one I've been most involved with is our developer community, because I'm a developer advocate. And the project I've been most involved with is our Slack channel. We have a beta Slack channel. It's invite only. And a lot of what we did is a lot of what you said. I had some very distinct advantages. We made it select. We headhunted the people we wanted in the community. And so I was able to go to, we have an agency partner program. So if you run a WordPress agency or any web development agency, you can learn about our company, take a test, and become a partner. So I was able to say to the people in our company, who are some really good agencies that you think would really take part? And they said, oh, well, here's a list. And I got 100 names.
Wow.
And I was immediately able to start off with 100 names of people that I knew were probably going to take part. And that's a huge advantage. And it has worked very, very well. It's still private. Kind of anybody who asks can get in, but there's no form online. There's no webpage about this thing. So you have to kind of be in the know to get in there, and we're still hand selecting who gets in there. So I had these advantages that I think people will rarely have, but I think the lessons still apply. I think you want to make it select. You want to find that group, and you could find them in a variety of places. So, for example, Beth is running a Facebook group. If she wanted to start a Slack channel, she should go to her Facebook group and call out 50 people who've been particularly vocal and wise, and get them in a small room together talking, and they will form a tight group. And then you invite another 100 people, and they are welcomed by this group that already exists, and things like that. So I understood the question to be, how are you going to do this if you're kind of starting from scratch? You don't have a community. How are you going to get one? Do your best to find a small group of people who are going to be very positive in your community. Get them in a small room and talking. Make that tiny community, and then grow it by adding more people. They'll know people, and then they'll know people, and it will grow organically. But if you can handpick the really sharp ones who are gonna help you grow, that'll go a long way.
That is super advice, and I wish you told me that before I started all this. It would have made growing my group a lot easier.
Yeah.
We're all learning today, right?
Right.
So we have just about 15 minutes left, a little bit less. And I would love to go deep into this question and really go into some, real world examples, some anecdotes, so that we can all learn, what kind of change and improvement is possible through community when we're looking at building recurring revenue. We will start with Beth. What kind of changes have you seen community create on your business? So, things like brand awareness or consciousness, things like revenue, things like reducing churn, those sorts of things. I would love to hear anything that comes to mind about maybe an instance where the community either built that revenue for you or helped you keep that revenue.
Well, in my case, because I come out of, or first of all, I create training courses.
Right.
So, and I come out of I come out of corporate IT. So the very first iteration of the Academy was really more of a framework manual. And for those of you in development, you understand that means software development lifecycle kind of stuff.
Right.
And it just didn't fly. I mean, it just wasn't what people needed. So having that community to help me to hone what it is they really need and give it to them in the way that they really need it, that is like, like winning the lottery. So for example, when you join the Academy, there's a free program called WordPress Project Management 101. I have 400 people in that group. Only a handful were going through the course. So I added certification. So if you go through the whole course and you take these quizzes in the final exam, you'll get a badge you can put on your website that says you're a certified WordPress project manager. Well, WP project manager. And people are just going nuts for this. I mean, because again, it's more social proof. So I just want them to get through the free program because it will help them so much. But you know how we all are about courses, right? There's a bunch I've enrolled in that I never finished. So you have to have some incentive. So they helped me figure that out. They helped me know that they needed something else, some incentive to get through that. So being able to hone your product based on what your community tells you is golden.
That's amazing. I love that. Topher, what do you think?
So the product I am most involved in is the BigCommerce for WordPress plugin. Just a WordPress plugin. And it's relatively new. It's 2.5 years old now, but when I got involved, it was only like 4 months old. And we regularly have meetings where we sit around and say, what features do we want? What are we building into this thing? What should this be doing? As all product groups do. And then we would periodically find a bug. I would find a bug, or one of my teammates. Once we started up this Slack channel that I was talking about, suddenly I had people saying, hey, can the plugin do X? I'm like, no, but that's a pretty good idea. And then I would ask a larger group, hey, would anybody want this? And the hands go up. I'm like, okay, feature request right there. This is what the people want, not just what we think is a good idea, because that is the road to failure. It can only lead to tears.
Absolutely.
If you can find out what the people want, then you're winning big. And then the bug feedback was huge. I mean, before that, it was just me finding occasional bugs. If there's a bug and you have a large group of people working with it, they will let you know loudly. And so the community, once we started it really rolling, started driving the direction of the product to a large extent, which is both good and bad. I mean, we had our own vision of where we want to go as a company and all of that. But if where we want to go is not where our customers want to go, then it's not going to work. And so we have to listen to the developers and by proxy, the merchants who are telling them, hey, I want this thing in my store. And so that community really started driving the product, and that was huge. I mean, every week I'd come into a meeting and say, look, here are 6 things that don't work, and here are 2 things that we really need right now. And all right, then we pivot, we shift our 6-month roadmap and include these 2 things, and those other 2 things that we thought we needed just really aren't important at all, and away they go. So that's been really huge.
Wonderful. Sandy, do you have anything to add to that?
Everything that's been said is spot on for us as well. But I think one of the things that community has done has been to decrease churn. One of the biggest things that you see in our space is people who are not necessarily married to a plugin or a product or a service at any given time. So one of the things that community has done for us has given everyone a voice where we can talk about, we're here, we hear you, we're working on this, and help us help you. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is when you feel heard, you stick around. So I think it's important for communities, especially brands that have communities, to take a step back and take feedback with an open mindset to understand that these are the needs of our clients, so that way we can fill the gaps and move forward in a positive manner, so that way we can reduce churn.
And I think that's also, Sandy, is that the person feels a sense of community. You say they feel heard. That's true. But there are groups where I feel really a part of the community, and I'm never going anywhere as long as it feels that way, especially as I get older and I live alone and work alone. And then COVID's only made that worse. So when I really feel like I have a sense of community, I'm going to hang around, and sometimes I don't care how much it costs.
Yeah. It's true.
Wonderful. We are going to have to cut off there, unfortunately. Sandy, Beth, Topher, thank you so much for sharing this
Very
part of
welcome.
your day with us, for giving us this information. So much useful information here. I mean, even Beth said, I wish I had known something that Topher said when I first started. So I really hope that everyone out there watching, that you found something here that's useful for you. We are going to go ahead and drop Topher, Sandy, and Beth's links and Twitter handles in the chat, so that if you have any other questions for them, if you'd like to get involved in their communities, you can absolutely do so. To the three of you, thank you so much again, and have a fantastic rest of your day.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All righty.